Right, in today's video, we're going to talk about systems of linear inequalities. So in the past, we've talked about systems of equations where we might have two equations, something like this and something like this, and we talked about that the solution of those systems was where the intersection occurred. Okay? Now, the difference in inequalities is that there isn't just one solution. There's a variety of solutions depending on what's given in the problem. Okay, so there's a couple things we need to understand the difference to. In what I just did, I drew solid lines because it's an equation. When we have inequalities, we have four possibilities. We have less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Now, if we have just less than or greater than without the equals to, we're going to use a dash. So the dash will be for those two options there. Now, in this example, we have the equals to portion of the inequality. And in that case, we're going to use a solid line. Okay, so that is a little bit of a difference from systems of equations. Now, in inequalities, if you remember just from basic inequalities, if x is greater than 3, for example, we would shade 3 with a circle, and then we would draw that way, and then we would shape the line. So the same idea happens when we graph these equations. So let's take a look here. We would graph these just like we would a regular equation. We start with the y-intercept of 5, and then our slope tells us to go 2 down and 1 over, and we continue doing that. Okay, now in this case, because again, it's not an equation, it's an inequality, it is going to be a dashed line. So what you can do is something like this. Okay, so now that's our inequality. We'll talk about the shading next. So do we shade above or below? Since it's less than, we're going to shade below the line. So all of this area here would be shaded. Okay, and then this would continue down like so. Okay, all right, so now let's look at the other equation. So we're going to start at -2, our y-intercept. We're going to go up 1 and over 2, up 1 and over 2. Now in this case, because it's greater than or equal to, we need to use a solid line. So in this case, I'm going to use a solid line. And then it is going to be greater than the line. And so what we're looking for is the values above it. Okay, so we're talking about this here. Okay, so when we look at the graph, we have only green, only black, and both. So the solution to this system of inequality is where they both overlap. So you can see in this area here, in this region here, all of this would be a solution. So there's many, many, many solutions. -5, 2 would be a solution. So would -3, -2. But anything outside of that double overlap area is not a solution to this inequality. All right? So we talked about dashed, we talked about shaded. Now let's talk about special lines. And there's two of them. We have horizontal lines and we have vertical lines. So a vertical line would be an equation like x equals 3. But in this case, we're not going to use equals, we'll use our inequality symbols. And again, there's 4 possibilities. So what we would do in this case is, well, I'll make it equal to. Because I drew a solid line, I'll make it greater than or equal to. All right, now because it's greater than 3, that's going to be the values over here. So that's how we would shade it. If it was less than, the values would be to the left. All right, now what if we had a horizontal line, such as y is less than 5? All right, well, y equals 5 is up here, and because it's less than, we would have a dashed line. Now we're going to shade less than 5, which is going to be down here. Now, if we were using these two as a system of equation, by the way, so say these two, we wanted to find out the solution to it, it would be the double shaded area would be the solution to that system of equations. Okay, so again, understand the difference between the solutions of equations versus inequalities. The inequalities is going to have a double shaded area, where a regular equation is just going to be one point of intersection of the two lines.